collect their data, find out who they are. You know that you've been put through the ropes before you came into this room today. When you actually registered online, we found out everything but your blood group, and then today we just went one step further because we want to know who's in the room. And look, it's not evil, it's just that at morning tea time, the girls will give me a list and they'll say, this is how many people in the room that cater for blue singlets, this is how many are white collar, this is how many are doing this sort of turnover, and this is how many are B2B, B2C. So that means I can adjust the slide presentation at morning tea to suit who's in the room. Does that sort of make sense? If I'm trying to flog a coaching program, which yes, it'll be, I didn't put this on because I love you, I might get to love you if you join our program, but otherwise I just hope you die in your sleep. So I could see people taking that, oh, die in sleep. Okay, he's not really very good about that. So the point is that it's called information behavioural marketing. And what you've got to bring into your business is this behavioural marketing. Who here at the moment I guess, is invested in something like Infusionsoft or Ontraport or Aweber? Anybody into that sort of back-end CRM system? You guys? Okay, not many. You've got to do this. You've got to start to get into this, and this is the sort of stuff we have in our programs to teach you to do, is that what you want to do is collect a database and then market to that database based on their behaviour. So do you think that I would be marketing to a 21-year-old, different to who's not married, in uni, and is basically enjoying him or herself? Would I be marketing very different to them if I was a coffee shop because they're a bit tight, compared to the 42-year-old businessman who actually is CEO of a company and doesn't care what his coffee costs? Do you think I'd be using different language? Of course I would. And it's called message to market match. You know, I've got kids in our family, we've got 6 children, and they age from 19 into 30-ish. Now, the 30-ish one is married with children, the 19-year-old's not. Do you think I talk to them very differently? Of course I do. The 19-year-old doesn't care about a mortgage, he's not particularly worried about that. The 32-year-old who thought that I was, you know, dad wanker in this bloody advertising world, and why would I ever listen to dad, and, you know, but guess what? Now that he's paying a mortgage and he's gone out on his own in a business, do you think that he might be a little bit interested in what I do now? Yeah. So therefore we talk to them differently, and you do too, unconsciously. I mean, I'm not saying you anything you don't know. So in marketing, what you've got to do is make sure you segment your audience into what their lifetime value might be, and you talk to them appropriately. It's called behavioural marketing, and you can't do behavioural marketing unless you collect something that starts with D, and it is data. Okay. So first question is, who thinks they need a good product or service to make money? You sort of do, don't you? I mean, you'd have to think you've got a good product or service to make money. No, you don't. Who thinks McDonald's makes the best hamburger in the world? Okay, they sell more hamburgers than any other business in the world, and I think if you ask 9 out of 10 people, they might say, yeah, it's not really the flashiest hamburger I've ever had, because they're good at a thing starts with M, they're good at marketing, okay? I've got a bunch of clients who've got shit products, and they're making good money because we're giving them a good marketing system. Not my problem that they got shit products. I can't do anything about that. I can't, oh, I'm sorry, your product's shit. I don't like that wheelbarrow. They've paid me to be part of the program, so I've got to help them sell wheelbarrow. So the thing is that you don't even need a good product or service. Now, don't get me wrong, you should. You should have a good product or service. I'm just saying that it is not absolutely necessary. Okay, so who would like to learn about this great system that I've put together? No, that's not good enough. You see, the thing is that, as Richard, my good friend here, knows, is that I've got a thing called an ego, and although I'm not a seminar speaker, I am a wanker. And so therefore, so I'm just not a seminar wanker, and so therefore what I need is some love. So maybe, let me think how this would go. If I asked a question, I think really would get this whole clicker thing going would be, shit yeah JD, okay? So who would like me to show you this great system? Shit yeah JD. The language that comes out of your mouth, I'm not very happy about that. Okay, I went to a Catholic school. Okay, so 50% of businesses go broke in the first 3 years. That is the statistics. And that's in Australia, England and America. And I believe they don't go broke because they've got a bad product. I think basically they go broke because they don't have any marketing plan. And if I asked, let's be honest, okay, and please, God's watching, so therefore you've got to be honest. Who in the room here has got a 12-month marketing plan put together for their business right now? Okay, probably 4 or 5 out of whatever it is in the room. Not very many. Who here thinks that marketing and sales skills is probably the most important thing in their business? Because if you don't sell anything, you don't have a business, do you? Okay, and for those on Facebook Live, we just had 100 over 100 put their hand up. Okay, so you've just said that sales or marketing skills is the most important thing you need in business. Who here has an accountant? Pretty much everyone? Put your hand up if you've got a solicitor. Pretty much everyone. And then I asked the question, I did it back to front today, I asked the question a moment ago, who here has anyone advising them on sales and marketing? Hardly anyone. You can hear crickets in the background. That's crazy. You've just admitted that it's the most important thing you've got in your business, but you've got no one telling you how the hell to do it. And at best, you'll probably get a uni student who's 24 or 25, and you'll pay them 30 or 40 or 50 grand a year, and they'll tell you to sponsor the Brisbane Broncos, okay? So the thing is that you've got to take, even if you do nothing with me from today, just take what you see here today and store it in the common sense file up here, because this is just common sense. Now, I'll put the pixie dust to it, obviously that's what we do, you know, the wow factor stuff. But really, even if you don't agree with my wow factor stuff, just agree with the philosophy that this stuff is just common sense, okay? And common sense is not putting it out on the side of a bus. Okay, let me just whiz through this. I want to show you, these are the businesses that I used to look after when I was a consultant, and you'll see there's some pretty decent names. And the reason I swapped across to do SMEs, which you guys pretty much fall into, is because this stuff was working for these guys and they were paying me reasonable money. It was 10 or 20 or 30 grand a month, depending upon what client it was. The Greater Building Society, towards the latter stage of that relationship, which I finished a few years ago, I was there for 12 years, but in the latter stage, when I was doing the Seinfeld stuff for them, I got Seinfeld to do their advertising, they were paying me $34,500 a month. Now, can you imagine my wife when I said, look, I'm going to give this up and go into this Tony Robbins seminar business? She said, no, you won't. Have you looked in the mirror? You're not 25. You can't afford to screw up this one. And I don't know why she said that, but anyway. And so I said, no, look, this consultancy thing is killing me. These people are paying good money. I had Parramatta Leagues and I had Madura Tea and I had a couple of the big football clubs and I had it was great money, but it was hard yards. It really was. When they're paying you 10 or 20 or 30 grand a month, they own you. And I said, no, look, I think it's better if we cut up our intellectual property and try this. And she said, oh, okay, well, yeah, and took a big gulp. Now, 2 of our kids were still at school 4 or 5 years ago, so it was a big jump. And we weren't 25 anymore, so I couldn't afford to fail. But what I found, and I said to Gail, look, we're giving this to like a dozen or so companies a year. Why don't we actually use the stuff that I've got here that's in all the filing cabinets that I have, and we actually cut it up into bite-sized pieces and make it available for smaller businesses. And she said, okay, we'll give it a shot. And that's what we've done. As I said, the first year or two, we didn't understand this whole sell once to many, the seminar thing. It was a bit foreign to me because who's here in the consultancy game? Who's a consultant in here? Okay, well, only a few, right, okay. In the consultancy game, I would walk into 5 meetings and probably walk out with 3 jobs because they'd work out whether you were smart or not within probably the first half hour. When you're in this business where you're dealing with an SME, small to medium-sized enterprises, you guys should be, and you are, more sceptical, particularly if you come into an environment like a seminar, for God's sake, you know. By the way, I've got this multi-level vitamin I want to talk to you about later on, okay? Not only wrinkles and the whole thing, but the thing is, you should be sceptical because it's a crazy, crazy industry. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Have you ever seen an industry like this one, whereby I get invited to speak on multi-speaker stages, so therefore they'll hold a 2-day event and they'll ask you to speak on a multi-speaker stage, and I go, yeah, okay. I do that. I would do that every time because they invite you to come and speak in front of their 100 or 300 people, but then they expect the reciprocal. They say, well, can we speak on your stage? No. And they say, why not? Because I'm Coke and you're Pepsi. Why would I invite my people into the room and then give them to a competitor for an hour and a half? Why would I do that? That's crazy. The industry itself, the seminar game, is really weird. Can you imagine Coke having a conference over in America going, well, Pepsi, I think we'll put you on now for maybe an hour and a half. It's crazy. So it's the weirdest industry I've ever come across, but it's fantastic from what you're seeing here today. I've just got you people to take up 7-8 hours of your time with me. Can you imagine if I came to your doorbell? Adrian, could I have maybe 7 hours of your time? I don't think you'd say yes, would you? And yet you've gladly walked away from work today to be here. Now, you might say 7 hours, JD, you're pushing it, I'll be gone in about 10 minutes. I'm not finding the jokes too funny. Excuse me. But the point is, you should be doing this. What I want you to do is have a look at this today and do your version of it tomorrow. I don't care what business you're in. We've had clients in the travel game, okay? They own a business out of Brisbane, 3 travel agencies. I said, just do this. And they said, no, it wouldn't work. So he said, do this, just do it. Oh, no, it wouldn't work. Just do it. And I went on and on and on like a whinging, JD for about 6 months, and eventually they did it. They held an evening, a cocktail party evening, and they brought all of these people in who were people who had fallen into the category of a European cruise prospect. And it cost them $7,000 to put the night on, but Scenic Tours paid for half of it because they were the guest speaker. I emceed it and did the usual thing. I don't know whether you noticed, but I'm really funny. So I did dad jokes and stuff. Thanks very much for shaking your head like that too. I hope you particularly die in your sleep tonight, seriously. And I hope it's like coughing and all ugly stuff. And so therefore, can we just get a close-up of Alan here too? Alan? Alan?
Hello, Jack.
Just a minute. There's a good chance he won't be with us tomorrow, okay? Good. I can, what is it, who the people can put spells on? Gypsies, okay, I can be a gypsy on Alan. So anyway, they put this night on, and they got, I don't know what it was, 70, 80, couples there, and they fell into the seniors age group because it was a European Scenic Tours thing. Guess what, on the night itself, I'll show you the video afterwards from the lady that ran the travel centre. So it cost her $3 and a bit of the $7,000 to put on, and that night Scenic Tours came up and put a big, show on the screen and showed them exactly what they could be booking into to go on all these European cruises. That night they took $220,000 in sales, and within 3 weeks thereafter they took over $500,000 for $3,000, $3,000. And why do you think they took $500,000 from just 3 hours? Is because they invited bees to their honey pot. Simple as that. So you've got to do this. Just do it. There's nothing evil about it. I know that the seminars have got a pretty corny name and reputation, I understand that, but just do it for your business. I don't care what business. Now, you wouldn't expect people perhaps to give up 7 or 8 hours like you guys are maybe doing here today, but what you might do is invite them to come to a tapas dinner. And a tapas dinner works better than a sit-down meal because you don't get this. You don't get the knives and forks, messing up the whole presentation. They've got lovely little... And tapas dinner is not your Chico roll from the milk bar. It's something nice. And run it from 6 through to maybe 8:30. And you, if you feel they wouldn't come because your product is not sexy, I mean, my product in terms of helping people make more money probably is, a sexy product. But if you don't have that, it doesn't matter. Get a guest speaker on. I say to people, look, if your product is a blokey product and you want to get Fatty Vorton to be the guest speaker. Give him a few dollars and he'll come along for $3 an hour. And I'm speaking metaphorically. If it's not Fatty Vorton, it might be somebody else. But the fact is, get someone to draw the crowd and then you hijack that crowd. Okay? So just think about that. In my instance, I have a client at the moment who's just come on board. They're a finance company and they're wanting to get to conveyancers and lawyers, for a particular product. I won't bore you with the product. But he said, who would I get? And I said, well, I'll do it for you. Every conveyancer and lawyer wants to know how to build their business. I'll just do it. You can milk the Seinfeld thing. God, I milk it, so you might as well milk it too. Have dinner with the guy that works with Jerry Seinfeld, da-da-da-da-da, and that's what he'll do. I've done that for a whole bunch of clients. And so I'll come on and do my spiel. I don't charge for it. They're a client of mine, so that's what I do. And then what happens is that they come up and I interview them about their business. So I had one client that did that. It's called AdFence, and they do the cloth mesh signage that goes around the fences of construction sites. You know how you see Marston & Holmes, Marston & Holmes, Marston & Holmes, like something really creative like that. So therefore... they were trying to get onto 50-odd builders here on the Gold Coast. They could not get the builder to answer the phone. So we sent him out a beautiful invitation to come to a Versace dinner, and I was the guest speaker. And as it turned out, they got 17 of the 50 builders. They should have got more, but this particular guy's secretary was not good at follow-up. But they got 17 builders there with their wives, which is 34 people. It was $100 a head for the Versace room, something like this. And so that's $3,400. He took that night $272,000 in orders, and that was a Wednesday night. By the Friday, he invited me for a drink, and I went for the drink. He said that 272 just went up by another 100. So he took nearly $400,000, and it cost him $3,400. Do you reckon he would have done those sales had he not had the bees to the honey pot? Not a chance in the world. So I did my spiel, and then at the end of my spiel, I said, look, this evening has been brought to you by AdFence. Who here would think that it'd be a good idea if we get this CEO of AdFence up to talk? Now, it was all set up, of course. He's going, no. I said, oh, come on up. These guys wouldn't take his call the day before. They're patting him on the back because they're half pissed. Going, get up there, get up there. He comes up and I interview him. And I just said to him, look, what's the difference between your signage and anyone else's? He said, well, to be honest with you, he said, the thing is that I can go on about the quality of our cloth mesh being much better than anyone else. But he said, we actually print it here on the Gold Coast in a factory at Molondina. Whereas most of the other signage companies get it printed somewhere else and then put a margin on a margin. So he said, I got a quote up in Darwin last week from a building company that got 3 other quotes for 34, 35 and 36,000. I did it for 14,800. Now we're talking about the people in the room who'd had a few drinks. They almost rushed the stage to tackle him like he was Justin Bieber, right? Now, you don't get that on a one-on-one. You don't get the theatre, you don't get to do all the bells and whistles. So if you are not doing cocktail parties, I know that's the old fart way of saying, but tapas dinners, whatever you want to call the modern version of that, then think about doing it. Okie dokie. Now, what I'd like to ask you guys to do, if you don't mind, I know what's going to happen is that you will be compelled for your mind to tick over and go, JD, this is really good, and we've been here now for whatever it is, 30 minutes, and your jokes are unreal, you are really funny dad jokes, but this will not work for me, okay? And that is the bane of all presenters. I know where the audience, or some of the audience sits there and goes, oh, it works for you, but it wouldn't work for me. These are the sorts of industries that it's worked for. It will work for any industry. This direct response platform that I'm going to show you, and it's got 5 components. They're really easy because I know that I've been to seminars and they go, got this easy system. It's a 29-point system. You go, oh, just kill me, please. I'm not going to be here for 29 points. It's really easy. It's a little pie graph and there's 5 components to it. And all these businesses here are the sorts of businesses that have been using this system, okay? So we're talking manufacturing, wineries, banks, turf farms, guttering, food suppliers, go-kart tracks, accountancy, landscapers, kitchen renovations, nursing homes, you name it. And I've just about done it. Zoos, I haven't done Z, I'm afraid. So if there's anybody in here, anybody own a zoo? Because I good deal, because I haven't got one up there at the moment. Okay, right here. Now let me show you the deal. Okay, it's called the Wheel of Wow, which is a pretty wanky name, I guess. I didn't even come up with it. A good mate of mine said, why don't you actually create a wheel? Well, that's good. And he said the Wheel of Wow. He didn't realise how wanky clever he was, because Wheel of Wow's acronym is? Yeah, eh? Richard, what do you think about that? Eh? Now I'm not such a dickhead, am I? How clever is that?
You didn't think about that.
Oh, I've got to say, I am a dickhead because I never thought of it. Damn it, I hate you being in the audience, I really do. Richard, you know what I like about you?
Nothing.
You got it, yeah. Okay, so let's just go through the 5 steps of the system. The first one is, who's your target audience? Now, really, I want to update that. It's really not who's your target audience, it's who's your most profitable target audience, okay? So in the Greater Building Society, they thought their target audience was anyone who was getting a home loan. Just, you know, any married couple or what have you getting a home loan. No, we didn't want Gen Ys taking out a loan. Well, I didn't. I mean, they worked out that they didn't either. And when I taught them, why didn't we want any Gen Ys taking out a home loan? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
No money.
Yep, well, no money. And they're going to take out a home loan for a little Masterton 3-bedroom home. And that'll be $210,000. And guess what? A Gen Y has the attention span of a goldfish. So do you think they might likely jump to another bank when they see an ad on TV because it's 1.1 something percent, you know, 0.0001%? Yes. I have a 25-year-old daughter who lives off a company called Groupon. She's the worst customer you could ever have. She's been to 39 hairdressing salons in the last 6 months, okay? And because those hairdressing salons are run by people with decaditis, they have not actually taken her details and then upsold her to a real price. They've just dropped their pants and taken a bath and let her go off somewhere else. So decaditis is all around us. You're probably sitting next to a dickhead. There's every chance here that you are, okay? See, Richard's wife there is just saying, well, JD, you got that right. So the thing you knew if you came today it was going to be a sledge fest. Yeah. See, the power you've got when you've got this microphone, that's right, yeah, exactly. If I go to one of Richard's things, it'll be reversed. So the thing is that, the Groupon audience is the audience that you have to be careful of, because whilst that's a good business model for Kudo and Scoopon and Groupon and all that sort of stuff, unless you, I mean, at the moment, anybody here that has a business that takes those sorts of things, that takes those sorts of coupons? Okay. Well, they do bring in a certain audience, okay? And that certain audience is not what we call a loyal audience. Who wants loyal audience? Yeah. So that's why we went for Seinfeld, okay? Seinfeld has a core audience of over 40, and over 40 people are borrowing $500,000 or $1 million. They're not borrowing for their first home. And they're going to be more loyal. They've been drinking Coke forever. They'll keep on drinking Coke. It'll kill them. Maybe they'll think, I better not say that. There's a live stream, isn't it? Yeah. It is a wonderful drink. And so the thing is that I use it all the time when I just want to get paint off the car and stuff like that. So the thing is that you want a loyal audience, and that's why we went with Seinfeld. If we wanted Gen Ys, we would have had Guy Sebastian probably do the ads. So everything you see here, whilst you might think today is creative, hopefully you will, it's based on maths and science, okay? Right now, so your most profitable target audience, who here believes at the moment they understand who their most profitable target audience is? Not your target audience, most profitable. So you've segmented them? Good, okay, right out. So what you want to do now is just look for more people who look like them. Simple as that. So this whole marketing game, that first part of that pie is so important. You just look for your most profitable target audience and then you look for more people who look like them. In my instance, the easier audience for me is a white collar audience. Okay, it's very, I won't say very hard, but it's more difficult for me to get a plumber or electrician or truck driver on board because anyone with a coat's a wanker. Okay, to them it's sort of, oh yeah, well, what would you know, mate? You just stand up there, you're a wanker. Whereas someone who's an accountant or a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer, they're going to go, yeah, okay, I get that. Don't get me wrong, the blue singlet worker will get it. It's just harder for me to get it across to them because they're not in that field. They've been getting most of their business through having a drink with a guy at the bar of a Friday night and all of that sort of stuff, whereas they're just not in this sphere. So it takes me longer to get them across the line. Do you reckon I want to spend more time? No. So therefore we will go out of our way to try and attract more white collars. Not because I can't help the blue singlets, of course I can just as well, it's just that they're going to be an easier conversion. So you've got to take that into account as well. Okie dokie. Let me just whiz through this. I don't think we need to show that. Let me show you Mediballs. This is a company that lady lives at Sanctuary Cove, lovely lady, and she owns this business that actually helps ladies who have an incontinence issue. And she thought that really the target audience for that would be older ladies, and I think all of us would probably think the same thing. As it turned out, when she came on board, we had some research put together and we found that ladies in their 30s and 40s and 50s suffer from wetting their pants as well, because if they'd had one or two children, the company's name is Pelvic Floor Assist. And if they'd had a few children and they were in their 30s or 40s or 50s, some of them, 30% of Australian women suffered from wetting their pants. And they would suffer from that because they had a weak pelvic floor. Now, when they came on board, I know way too much about ladies' problems at the moment. I've got a menopause lady. Just don't go there. We've got a lady with 5 sexy world shops. I mean, so please, some butchers, bakers, come on board, please. I've learnt whole acronyms for everything. So when they came on board, Pelvic Floor Assist, I thought it was a builder. And so the first marketing plan had to be thrown out, So therefore what happened is that this is the new website that we'd put together, but the old website that was there had a lady in her 70s come on and she said, oh, hello, my name's Esme, because it always is. My name's Esme, and I'm wetting my pants 4 times a day, and thank goodness for Pelvic Floor Assist and Mediballs. That's interesting now. And so therefore, the Mediballs, as you can see there on that little cartoon drawing, the ladies put where, and it fixes their problem within 5 to 7 days. We're talking David Copperfield. So therefore, do you think the first thing I said to her is, look, I'll put a marketing plan together for you, but how'd you like to double your business like tomorrow? Thank you for joining my 12-month program, that's great, but then I'm showing off here, of course, but she said, yeah. So good. She was selling these Mediballs for $49.95 and they fixed you wetting your pants within 5 to 7 days. She's David Copperfield. She's David Copperfield. Do you reckon David Copperfield would charge $49 to edit? I don't think so. If I'm going to fix your lifelong problem, I'm not going to charge $49, I'm afraid, right? So I said to her, just double the price. So therefore, she said, I can't do that. I said, you can. Double the price. She said, well, how do we? No, you can. So she was bringing them in from Germany for 25, sell them for 50. I said, sell them for 100. And to convince her, I said to her, do a split test. And just throw up a web page, drive traffic from your Facebook advertising to that at $49 and drive that one for $99. And what do you reckon the resistance level was? And any ladies in the room, if you were suffering from incontinence, would you worry about whether it was $50 or $100 and it could fix you in 7 days? I don't think so. So, the thing is that first time around with a lot of people who come on to our world, we actually say to them, you're way too cheap. And I'll show you some good examples of that later. If you're in the solutions game, whereby you're fixing somebody's problem, then you don't need to be cheap. Panadol is not cheap, but it gets rid of my headache in 10 minutes. Who asks how much is a Panadol when you've got a headache and you go into the pharmacy? I don't think so. So therefore, the thing is, you've got to be careful if you're in the service game that you're underselling yourself. So this is what we did to her website. And I want to show this to you because it demonstrates the identify your most profitable customer and look for more people who look like them. She used to have an old lady, a senior lady here in the 70s that was doing the video for her, and that was Esme. I used to wet my pants. So what we did is we changed it to a doodle video, and I'll show you what happens with that. As you scroll down that page, when we brought them from the Facebook ad onto this page, we then broke them up into their segments. Because do you think I'm going to talk differently to that age group to that one? Of course. They don't perhaps have children. They do. They understand wicked sick in their language. If I say wicked sick over here, they think I'm going to be, wicked, I'll make them sick. So therefore, you've got to write your copy according to your market. And it's going to be message to market match. So when they come on and they find this Macca's menu board, now keep in mind they come onto the home page, that's the top of it, they've scrolled down, they've come to that, we get them to select their journey. And when they click here, they go through to a sub-page that talks to them in a language that suits a 30 to 40-year-old. If they were to, like every accountant should be doing this, but none do it, okay? An accountant should have a Macca's menu board there that says, are you interested in self-managed super, wealth creation, BAS statements, tax evasion, minimisation? And you should be able to click that and then just go through to that particular sub-page. None of them do it, okay? None of them do it. And then what we did is we roll down the page. We want to convince you that you're at the right spot. It's discrete waning weights for the pelvic floor. You can buy them in 1s or 2s. I'm not sure about the 2s. I don't know what happens there, but I don't know what that is all about. But anyway. And then, a free report. See there, a free report, incontinence within 7 days. If you were wetting your pants, do you reckon you'd like to download a free report of how I'm going to fix this in 7 days? And what do you think that free report, aside from, some helpful medical terms, what do you think that free report tells them to do? You got it. Buy the damn thing, you idiot. I mean, you're here, right? I think I took you idiot out. But anyway, same sort of message. And then as we scroll down, just in case you haven't made up your mind, we're going to give you 3 big benefits. Number 1 is prevention and treatment of urinary incontinence. Number 2, regain and sustain sexual health, which is important for some 80-year-olds. Number 3, strengthen the pelvic floor muscles for pre and post pregnancy. And then if you haven't made up your mind, we're going to give you a couple of testimonials. Okay? Now, testimonials are very difficult to get when you are selling something to stop ladies from wetting their pants. Excuse me, would you just tell us all about what your history has been? Oh, I just wet my pants every day and I want the world to know. So these were actresses, but we would asterisk the screen to say that they were real case studies, but for the sensitivity reasons, obviously they're not the real people. So that's what you do if you've got a sensitive product. And this is the video. We changed the video from the Esme telling us a story and to one which went right across these age groups. And I'll just play a little bit of it. Everybody familiar here with the doodle whiteboard thing? Okay, here we go.
As a woman, our lives are busy and active. We work. Some of us have children. We lead eventful lives, share our joys, and our health is important. But there are health concerns that cause many of us unnecessary stress and anxiety. We are busy and active, so few of us have the time for the symptoms of weak pelvic floor muscles, such as the constant need to go to the bathroom. Yet when women look to treat the problem, the alternatives can appear far from ideal. Not to mention, activating the pelvic floor during floor exercises can sometimes be a mission. And while yoga is great, it doesn't always work for all of us. To support women's pelvic health, Pelvic Floor Assist has arrived to offer women a new, discreet and effective pelvic floor training treatment option, Mediball Secret. Offered as a single or as a double, Mediball Secret. Okay, so you get the gist of that? And I'll leave the lights off for a second. Let me show you when we put that Facebook ad on instead of Esme, what the difference was in the clicks to her website. Have a look at this. This is the lady who owns the business, by the way.
Because you pick up these contacts and ideas, and the biggest idea I think I've received was using a doodle commercial as opposed to a still advert, because my clicks on Facebook went from 4,000 to 95,000 in 2 weeks. And
who would like to go from 4,000 to 95,000 in 2 weeks? Okay. And the reason I want to show off about that is that in this thing, there'll be no run to the back of the room and all that rubbish. We're not into that. But what I will do is anyone's interested in the club that we have, which is the Academy Club, where it's a 12-month thing and I become your quasi-marketing manager, we'll just ask you to sit around at lunchtime. We'll give you some sandwiches and coffee or drinks, whatever, and I'll answer your questions. But those of you who don't want to hang around for that, that's fine. Just go downstairs and have your coffee, come back after lunch. And we do that because we do position ourselves quite differently from most of these silly seminars where they say the steak knives are run to the back of the room. But that lady there, just with that idea, aside from the idea of just doubling your $49 to $99, which sort of doubles your income overnight, just that idea there just revolutionised her business. She realised then that, the target audience that she was after originally, which was over 60, was now a target audience that was in their 30s, 40s, 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. We widened the funnel, and a lot of you aren't thinking about that at the moment. You're possibly thinking, okay, I get it, most profitable target audience, and that's great discipline to have, but also there's a lot of times you can widen the funnel. Because if I said to you, Dr. Snooze, for example, Dr. Snooze will put an ad in Sunday's paper, perhaps, and I'm just making this up, so it's not a real one, but let's just say they put an ad in Sunday's paper which says mattresses. So for argument's sake, the Sunday paper ad might be, okay, and it might be, let's say, Dr. Snooze down here, and it will have a mattress, okay, and it will say was $2,000, but this weekend it's only going to be $1,299. Now, less than 5% of Australians woke up this morning thinking about mattresses. And the statistics are that less than 5% of Australians woke up this morning thinking about any product or service, whether it be a car, washing machine, microwave, whatever it might be. In fact, it's closer to 3%. These are real statistics out of university. So therefore, if you do that in today's paper, then you've just wasted 97 or 96 or 95% of your budget. So at the Greater Building Society, they used to do that. They used to just put ads out, you want a home loan, and it's 4.7%. I got involved and said, well, first of all, you don't want to sell on price, and we'll take their eyes off the price, which we did, and therefore we just gave away free holiday. Okay? They used to give away a 1% honeymoon rate. They thought that was a big acquisition tool. Guess what? Every other bank in Australia was giving away a 1% honeymoon rate. There's nothing new about that. I said, no, you need a Happy Meal toy. You need to give them something that's going to take their eye off the price, not bloody on the price. Because the thing I want you to walk away with today, and anyone who's watching on Facebook Live, is that from tomorrow on, you'd never ever sell on price again. Never, ever, ever, ever sell on price. Why do you think you don't want to sell on price? Anybody want to take a stab at that? We've got $1 million prize here. Oh, God, it's going to go to Richard. Okay, Richard, yeah.
You're on a slippery slope.
You're on a slippery slope. You're dead right. Okay, I hate to give Richard credit for something, but he's right. You're on a slippery slope to nowhere. It's a race to the bottom, and you don't want to do that. I'm not saying that you don't do what David Jones and Myer do and get rid of dead stock twice a year. You know, Boxing Day and, you know, mid-year sale, that's fine. But don't do price discounting every day of the week, because if you do that, you're building a marketing plan based on losing margin. Why would you want to lose margin every day? So the thing is, if you have a special event like this and you want to give a special offer, that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying that every time that you find that food's not hitting the table and you do that, then guess what? You're going to be building a marketing plan that's going to overall do damage to your business and to your brand, okay? The Versace here on the Gold Coast at winter time, they're going to drop their prices. What do you think that does to their brand? What they'd be better doing is saying, we'll pick you up from the airport if you're coming up from Sydney on a stretch limo, and we'll give you free butler service throughout the weekend. You'll annoy the butler for once or twice to shine your shoes, and he'll be able to sit down and do nothing for the rest of the weekend, right? And we'll give you free tickets to Jupiter's show. That'll cost them a lot less than dropping their price in half, and it will retain their brand, okay? So the thing is you want to do everything you possibly can to retain that brand. So what these guys have done here, if it was not, excuse me, with Dr. Snooze, it may not be Dr. Snooze, but you know the sort of company I'm talking about. What's the other one? 40 weeks. Yeah, 40 weeks. Okay, so let's just say they've got a mattress there, was $2, now $12.99. They're going to hit the paper, and 95% of those people will just keep on flipping. If they said, do you suffer from a bad back or bad neck? This is widening the funnel. And if you do, go to fixmybadback.com. Guess what? There's 42% of Australians that suffer from some form of bad back or bad neck. All of a sudden, they've widened their funnel to 42%. So therefore, then, when they go to fixmybadback.com and they come through to that web page is going to tell them to do what? What do you reckon? Get a new mattress, you idiot. Yeah, and by the way, I'm glad that you've come here because we've got a special deal on mattresses. So all of a sudden, you've widened the funnel. So we have so many businesses that come on board, and because they haven't thought outside the square, they haven't even identified their most profitable customer, they haven't thought about widening that funnel. Okay, so number 2, wow factor, take their eyes off the price, which is what I was just touching on. McDonald's have been doing that for a lot of decades. And you're talking to someone here that has got 6 kids and they're way too old for Happy Meal toys now, but we had a Tarago with 6 kids in there. We had 6 under 12, and McDonald's got, in that period of time, $6.4 billion a year out of us, okay? Just because of that damn Disney toy. The kids threw the hamburgers out. You know what I'm talking about. Any parents or grandparents in here, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because McDonald's took our eyes off the price. Yep. Okay, now, that's not a lot of love. I must say that I'm giving out a lot of love at the moment. I'm not feeling a lot of love back, and it could be the influence of you, Richard. It could be the influence of you. So therefore, can we do that again? But really like gusto, because this is Facebook Live, and at least I want to look like part popular. So let me just do this again. Okay, so therefore, guys, the Happy Meal has a little plastic toy in there, and the kids actually convinced mum and dad to buy the Happy Meal, not because of the hamburger, but because of the toy. And in my language, of course, that's wow factor. So because of the I just want to point to the Facebook Live people. I hope you're not dickheads, all right? Because these people are showing signs of huge dickheaditis at the moment. Can we just do this again? So therefore, it starts with W and F. Thank you for those tissues too. Yeah. I had a meeting yesterday with this damn Carter, poor bastard that was sitting opposite me. I think he just wanted, look, go, please, go. We'll buy whatever you got, just go. So therefore, WF, okay? So therefore, and the kids didn't buy it because of the hamburger, they bought it because of the... Oh, that's still pathetic, but anyway. Okay, so therefore we've got McDonald's Happy Meal toys. We've got, these guys have been doing it for about 50 years. And I'm sure that, you know, we've all grown up on cornflakes with a free toy in the box. This hotel here, okay, we stayed here last night, and after 5 minutes of booking in, this happened, like unbelievable. Anybody from interstate or stayed here last night? Anybody stopped at this hotel? Okay, well, you'd know then, because it was fantastic. Knock on the door, hello, Mr. Dwyer? Well, yeah, I said, well, we'd like to say thank you for staying at the hotel here, and we'd just like to gift this to you, which is the Max Brenner beautiful silver tray with the strawberries cut up and the chocolate Cadbury sauce, the whole chocolate fondue thing. Blew us away. Gail and myself blew. Luckily, Gail was at the show at the time, so I ate them all. And she said, who was at the door? No one. Fantastic. You girls would have got it too, didn't you? No. You never got it? No. You're kidding. No, well, either did I, because that was bullshit. That will not happen, because this is run by dickheads, okay? So every hotel in the world is run by morons. They don't do this. This is the easiest thing in the world. If they had done that to me last night, do you think I would ever stay in another hotel on the Gold Coast? I'd be staying at the Chocolate Strawberry Hotel every time. And I checked with Gail. It cost $1.60 to buy a dozen strawberries, cut them up, and do whatever you... Like Max Brenner charges, but it cost them $1.60. But no hotel does it. But guess what? When it comes to wow factor, does the lawn mowing guy say to Mrs. Smith, look, before I go, I'm just going to clean your windows? He doesn't have to do a university course to get the squeegee out and bloody just do a couple of windows, and she'll go nuts. She will tell the other ladies at the tuck shop, and he'll be... A mate of mine was an electrician. He said, this wow factor shit, would you be able to give me any of it? Oh, look, mate, I don't think anyone's going to book you to come again anyway, you know. So I just said to him, milk tray. Oh, it's a tray with milk on it? No, you idiot. Chocolates. His name is Dickhead. Yeah. And so therefore what he would do is that when he was leaving, he'd always leave a box of milk tray with a nice little note that I had to write for him because he's just, he can't spell. And it would say, thank you, Mrs. Smith. He had to sign, he had to put Mrs. Smith. No, I think he just put Mrs. Smith for everyone. And then it said, you could have chosen any electrician to do your PowerPoints or your air conditioning, whatever, but you chose me. I just want to say thank you. Do you know what? He was in the top 40 at the school tuck shop. I mean, the ladies just, he said, I got so much business from women ringing up saying, oh, you know, Gloria in the tuck shop or the parents committee just raves about you. You are the milk tray electrician, aren't you? That'd be me, yeah. Nobody does it. When you go through a car wash, go to a mechanic and they'll charge you the $4 million for the service like they all do, okay? When you went to pick up the car, if they washed it, it'd be one thing, and I know that happens sometimes, but not very often. If they vacuumed it, it'd be incredible. Can you imagine if they put a box of chocolates on the passenger seat? Nobody does it. Nobody does this stuff, and it's just weird. Is anybody here in the room practicing any of this?
Lexus do it.
Lexus do it? Yeah, well, there you go. They do, actually. I've heard that one, Richard. Yeah, Lexus do it. And, you know, full marks to them. I mean, they've worked out that they're a 7-star brand, and they treat people like they should be treated when you're a 7-star brand. Okie dokie. This is Disney Hotel in Shanghai. I went over to speak at a Weller convention last year. It's a hairdressing mob, and they take a lot of Australian hairdressing salons over for a junket, and I was a guest speaker, and we stayed at the Disney Toy Story Hotel out at Disneyland. There's a new Disneyland in Shanghai, and we've been to all the Disney parks with kids over the years, so I said to my wife, look, we're by ourselves, let's enjoy it, and see whether Disneyland's as good, you know, without the kids. It's not. It's always better when you're with kids, of course. But we stayed at the Toy Story Hotel, and as only Disney could do, when we're walking out of the 5th floor, we might just kill the lights for that one, yeah. When we're walking out of the 5th floor on that morning, I had to take outside one of the doors, and when I went downstairs to the concierge desk, even though it was in China, the concierge desk was an American. I said, mate, look, I'm in the advertising game, I just got to know what that's all about. He said, oh, that's little Susie's 6th birthday. So when anybody opens the door there in the family's staying in the family room, this morning to go to Disneyland, then of course all the balloons will come in, and there's a happy birthday card from Mickey Mouse just there. Now even the butchy guys, the real butch guys in here today, like Richard, are going, ah, you know. And in fact, I could vaguely hear Richard go, oh dear, dearie me, says Richard. Okay, so these guys here have been doing it since 1996. We're talking about a business that's built on price discounting. This is the irony, they're built on price discounting. Now, I used to be the marketing manager for this mob, and their days of doing stuff to take your eyes off the price, I was doing, can you remember the cookware? Some of the ladies in the room might remember the cookware promotions where you'd get stamps and you'd save up the stamp sheet and you'd get Crown Corning and you get cookware for special prices. Well, I used to do all that sort of stuff for them, which is called loyalty schemes. And I used to do all the big scratch games with them and so forth. And I moved on, and I think Woolworths and Coles over the more recent years have gone back to really price discounting. And you might say, well, there's nothing wrong with that because their business is built on that. And that's fine. If you're Big W and Kmart or your Walmart or your Woolworths, that's fine. If your business is built on price discounting, well, you can make a cent in the dollar and do well because you know how to do that. Most of us aren't. We're not built for price discounting. So that's why I think it's evil. In their instance, though, despite the fact that they're built for price discount, look what they've done. They've tried to take your eyes off the price. Now, the thing is that they've been doing that since 1996, and they're not dickheads. It would not be still there if it's not working. I wanted to show you the transformation of Woe Factor to Wow Factor. This is a very little business. It's a small business. It's a Perth bakery, and you'll see here it's called La Crust Bakery, and that's what they used to have outside their little bakery shop. Not ugly. It's not ugly, but it's certainly not compelling. So we changed it to this. Okay, so you can see what it looked like. I said to the lady that ran the little bakery, you've got to attract more women because that was her most profitable audience. So we just turned the place into Audrey Hepburn. So it was breakfast at Tiffany's. That was what was outside. We actually did a letterbox brochure that looked like that. And she made Ned Kelly look like a gentleman because she was charging $29 per person for a high tea that cost her $2. But women will go anywhere for a high tea, trust me. And any of the men in the room, I'm sure you've seen it happen to somebody close to you. They will sell their firstborn to get to a high tea, okay? They'll walk over broken glass. They will even forgo the Wiggles concert. They will go to a high tea come hell or high water. So there's two words if you want to attract women, high and tea. Men, beer and sex, okay? So therefore, we'll worry about the men later. So that's what we did. We just put out 2,000 of those a week to the homes around her area. We'd put 2 out to start with, and then we'd put another 2 out to the next ring, and then a 2 out to the next ring. Now, the funny part about this particular bakery, you'll see here it's called La Crust. So it's a French bakery. It's run by an Asian couple. Yok Yin, her name is, right? And I said, French bakery, Asian, what went wrong? I'll do that again. Yeah, we're going to have to put something in the water here. This is not good. Oh, hang on. Speaking about what went wrong, Jackie Chan, how are you? Put your hand up, mate. Can you stand up? Oh, you are. Okay, good. Okay. I want to introduce John Moo, who we don't call John. We just call him Jackie Chan because he just looks like him. And he looks after all of our websites and stuff. So throughout the day when we show you some website transformation, it's the Asian persuasion down the back there. Yeah, good. Did you want to say anything, John? No, good. Okay, thank you. So therefore, this particular business here, she was only doing $450 a day. It's a little cafe, right? When we did this, I told her to put chocolate strawberries on and the whole thing, and she said, how do I do that? Well, I didn't tell her to put chocolate strawberries. I said, listen, why don't you actually beef up your menu with some stuff from Max Brenner? And she said, oh, Max Brenner. Okay. So then I said, well, ring up Max Brenner and ask him that you're going to book for 20 people for a special lunch for you and your girlfriends, and you'd like to know what the top 2 selling lines are in his restaurant so you can order ahead. You haven't got time. And when they tell you those 2 top selling lines, you ring back and in an hour's time cancel the reservation and put them on your menu. And she did something like, evil, Dr. Evil. That's me, okay? So that's what she did. So she put the Max Brenner top 2 selling lines on her menu. She put high tea on. She went from $450 to $1,500 a day. Now, I know that's a small business, but you multiply that by 6 days a week, it's $6,000 extra. Multiply that by 50 weeks a year. She put in $300,000 extra just out of that idea. And I know it's small fry, it's a small business, but nonetheless, that came about because of WF, because of a wow factor. Taking their eyes off the... You guys are coming along now. This is good. Starting to warm up. There's something... I'm getting some sort of reaction. Still not good, but it's a reaction. Okie dokie. I want to show you some transformations here. They're I actually pressed too quickly, but give me a second. Here we go. Okay. Saint Tropez Cafe at Sanctuary Cove. That used to be their menu for breakfast, and that's all we did to it. We're talking the investment they made in that artwork was probably about $100, maybe $120, and that lifted their breakfast trade by about 39% the next week. And do you think the photos are photos of the most profitable lines? I think so, yeah. We're going to show the most profitable things. And then I said, well, have a look at your lunch menu. And he goes, oh, you're going to love it. If you thought our breakfast menu was boring, we really fixed it at lunch. I said, good, okay. Oh, good, okay. So we changed it into that. And I said, well, your dinner menu? He said, oh, it was better than the actual lunch menu. It looked like this. Great. And so we changed it to that. Now, if I don't get an ooh and an ah out of this next one, I'm going to be very disappointed with you, and some heads will be rolling, because I said to him, your coffee menu, now I haven't got it, but it looked exactly the same as the one on the left. And let me just show you, if we can dim the lights, if we can just build up a big thing. And I really want, probably the reaction I'm looking for this, if we could just dim the lights. Yeah. The reaction I'm looking for this is, oh shit. Okay, so if we can just see what happened. This is the coffee menu. Hey, Richard, the funny part about it, you don't want to learn when I got into this thing. When you got this microphone, no wonder Trump does whatever. You got so much power. Okay, we're all going to stand on our heads now for about 5 minutes. Right, but yeah, look, you can see there that, and his coffee thing just went through the roof, like it was 60% increase, like the next day it was just stupid. This is without any marketing. This is without any marketing. This is just fixing the absolute basic, things. How many restaurants do you go into, aside from them not collecting your data, except they say, oh, leave your business card with the other 6 sad business cards in our fishbowl, But, the thing is that they can fix their business just by fixing their signage and just by fixing their menu. But they don't do it because they're suffering from dickheaditis. You got it, okay. Do you know we have a restaurant in Melbourne called the Lobster Cave. He's not on our program now. He doesn't need to be. He got on for 12 months and got all the stuff that he needed. Lovely guy, and he's become a good friend. We can bring the lights back up, yeah. And his name is Bill Ferg. And Bill owns a restaurant in Melbourne called the Lobster Cave. And the Lobster Cave is a pretty exy restaurant. It's the cheapest meal is $51. And he has Mercedes and BMWs parked outside. And he said to me, what do you think when people come on our programs? He came onto a private coaching one. I actually have a look at their advertising. I normally throw up. I look at their website. I normally criticise them and call them dickheads. And then we go about putting a marketing plan on to fix it, because obviously they're very motivated by that stage. And so therefore, in fact, someone bumped into me out there beforehand and said, oh, we came to one of your things about 18 months ago and we needed G up, so we come around to be motivated. You're at the wrong seminar. You come to be motivated. I'm just going to bag you out. So anyway, the thing is that in his instance, he was spending $500,000 a year on Melbourne newspaper advertising and Melbourne radio. And I said to him, okay, you've just paid me whatever it was at the time, a couple grand a month. I said, you just paid me the first month's worth of a couple of grand, I'm going to save you $500,000. He goes, oh wow, this is a pretty good ROI already. I said, yeah. He said, what am I going to do? I said, you just get rid of all that advertising. Because in the paper, he used to put in ads like, the Lobster Cave, come and see us, SEA, as in seafood. Like, yeah. That wasn't exactly, it was that sort of corner, And lovely guy, but there was some, and he'd have Sam Newman doing his radio ads, and of course that was all on the SEN network and so forth. So let's stop all that. He goes, well, what are we going to do? I said, what we're going to do is give your waitresses $1 for every name and contact detail they get. So when Alan's paying the bill, then she just doesn't get his, she gets everyone else's around the table. And all she does is puts a little entry form, about half the size of that. We're talking old school here, doesn't have to be entered into their iPhone. And it says, win a dinner for 6 at the end of the month. Just put that down. And she will not let any one of those people leave. She's getting $1. And guess what? He's built up a 38,000 database now, but very quickly he grew a few thousand. And what would happen, I've seen it happen. I put together a whole bunch of SMS messages. You don't send emails anymore. That's so bedrock, okay? Who loves to open up all their spam emails? It's just great fun. So if you send out an email blast, you'll be dancing in the rain if you get a 20% open rate. You'll probably be dancing in the rain if you get a 15% open rate. And then maybe a 2% click-through. So therefore, if you're sending out email blasts, then welcome to Bedrock, okay? What do you think you should be doing these days? And every one of you probably got one in your pocket right now. You should be sending out text messages. And the reason why is because 94% of text messages are open within 3 minutes. Can you imagine any other communications anywhere in the world? It blitzes TV, it blitzes radio, it blitzes newspapers. You can actually send out your message to your own customer and know that 94% are going to open up your message within 3 minutes. It's insane, but nobody's using it. It's just sitting there. I don't know why it's white man's witch doctor magic, because it isn't. You just send out a text message. So what we do is that I've seen him do it. He comes in and he sits down at the table at his restaurant upstairs. The restaurant's downstairs. He's in the office upstairs, and he yells out to his long-suffering secretary, Cheryl. He's a bit of a fatty Vorton ocker, this guy. And she says, yeah. He says, Cheryl, how many of our 130 seats are booked for tonight? And Cheryl goes, 72. He goes, well, we've got another, whatever it is, 60 seats to fill. You better send out one of JD's bullshit text messages, right? He treats me with respect. And so she'll pick text message number 2, and it'll say, hi, whoever it might be. Just want to let you know that we value you as a customer, and we'd like to invite you and Gail tonight to the Lobster Cave restaurant for a special lobster tail meal for 2 for $68. Now, the lobster tail is pretty small. Those people will not leave that restaurant before they fork out $220 on average. A bottle of water in the restaurant's like $30, okay? So therefore, he'll sell them on trays, because all the staff are motivated to do all this as well. Guess what? He's the only restaurant in the world that's booked out every single night 100%. Can you imagine if you had a restaurant or cafe and you're booked out 100? We're talking empty seats. Because guess what? If he sends out from his list 1,000 text messages and he fills 60 of those 70 seats, what do you think he tells Cheryl to do? Just send out another 100 text messages. So he doesn't annoy the whole 38,000 every day. 1,000 Monday, another 1,000 to another 1,000 people Tuesday. So it takes a month to get around to the first people. But he fills that restaurant every single night because of a wow factor. He sends out a wow factor offer. When they come in, he gets them to buy the whole thing. So simple. But there are still dickheads out there that are advertising on the side of a bus whilst he's doing this. It's really, really easy when you know how. Now, this is Parramatta Lease Club, got me involved with them some years ago, and this is when I was a consultant. And I asked them, could you show me the front page of your bulletins? Because I said, where's your marketing? They said, a lot of money on our bulletins that we send out, the A4 bulletins. Anybody a member of a club that like RSL and all that sort of stuff, they do that? They still do this, even the electronic age, right? And I said, oh, okay. And they showed me that. And I went, oh, I can just imagine all the members racing to the letterbox going, you should see what's on the front cover. Okay, the directors, they are the ugliest people I've ever seen. I don't know why there was a prerequisite with clubs, but you had to be ugly to be a director, okay? Can you imagine racing into the thing and saying to your wife, we've got to get the Parramatta Lease Club, you should see their directors. Can you imagine if the Women's Day did that and just said, let's show you all the office staff? Crazy, crazy stuff. So we got involved and we did this to it. Do you think the one on the right might have a better chance of getting traction than the one on the left? Crazy shit, okay? This is without spending a lot of money on marketing. This is just common sense. And then I said, well, I hate to ask you this, but show me another one of your bulletins. Yeah, sure. Okay, good. And I said, can you imagine them racing in from the letterbox to their husband or wife going, you should see the Christmas decorations at Parramatta Leagues. They're insane. And they got a phone. It's unbelievable. And tile floors. We've got to get there. Okay, so we turned it into stuff like this. It's just very, very simple, this wow factor stuff. This happens to be a quality printers and cartridges business, so it's like a mini, well, yeah, it's basically a mum and dad business. They had 16 staff, so they're doing a few million turnover, but they're up against, if you're talking about office stationery and stuff like that, they're up against a 40-ton gorilla. So who in the room here would probably position themselves as a challenger brand? In other words, you're not the Coca-Cola of your industry. Who's a challenger brand? I am. I'm up against the big advertising agencies, and I'm about, hopefully, to show you today that I'm really, really different from many of the advertising agencies, because in the advertising agency, you get the old fart John Singer will come in and win the business, and then once you're on board as a client, guess who you get to visit you? 23-year-old that just came out of uni, okay? I'm going to be looking after your account. I've got this tight top on. So therefore, in this instance here, I go out of my way to say, look, I'm very different from that. When people come into my environment, they get me. We probably won't make the same money as the advertising agencies, but I think that you've got to have integrity to what you're selling. This particular business here, they're up against a 40-ton gorilla, and that 40-ton gorilla in the office game would be? Oh, this is really, yeah. You people are disappointing me, and there's every chance in the world. I'm just going to talk to the Facebook people. Because I can see, because I'm sort of, what is it, telepathic, because you're more interesting, yeah. Okay, so they're up against a 40-ton gorilla called? Officeworks mildly better, but only mildly, yeah. Okie dokie. Can we have a rule that in the future we don't let people end with walking frames? Because this is just, yeah. So therefore, Officeworks, do you think if they took on Officeworks on price that they would win? No way would they win. So therefore we have to take them on with WF, with a wow. Oh, that's better. Goodness me, someone's put something in the tea now, yeah. Okay, so therefore what we did is we sent out a letter and a mail campaign and an email blast to businesses that had 20 odd people or more. And the reason we wanted businesses with 20 odd people or more is because they'd buy more paper, more ink for their printers and so forth and so on. And then what we said is that every $100 that you spend with us, we're going to give you the chance to win a $250,000 Las Vegas party, and it would be over at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, and you're going to take your whole team over. So that meant that the boss, when he used to walk past Susie, who would get a box of chocolates from Officeworks, and he'd say to her, don't you go buying just from those places because they give you a box of chocolates. Guess what? He's going to take 20 staff with him. He now says to her, you make sure you don't go anywhere near Officeworks, buy all the stationery from them because we're all going to Vegas. So their sales went up 39% the week after they put that out. And guess what? They didn't change one thing in the business. They just gave away the $250,000 prize. And you're saying to me, I know what's going around in your head, but we don't have $250,000, JD. Where's that come from? The insurance company gave that to them for $4,000. So I can give you $1 million for $16,000. I can give you $500,000 for $8,000. And I can give you $250,000 for $4,000. I can give you $50,000 for $1,100. When I say I can give you, the insurance company will give that. And it's called game insurance. And who wants to be a millionaire? Channel 9 doesn't give any of that money away. It's all given away by an insurance company, okay? And your premium is based on the chance of them losing that money. So what happens here is that those people go, yep, I'm going to buy everything from quality printers and cartridges. And when after the month or 2 or 3 that you run the contest, you draw someone, and that particular someone then gets invited to your boardroom, and there are 250 envelopes on the table, so it's a 1 in 250 chance. And in one of those envelopes is the $250,000. And if you pick that one, you get the money straight away. 49 envelopes, you get the consolation prize, which you have to come up with. In their instance, their consolation prize was still the party for 20, but it was at the Burswood Casino in Perth, okay? So your one might be a trip to the Gold Coast, or it might be a trip to Fiji or something like that. But can you imagine the attraction that you get with, you know, chance to win 50,000 or chance to win 100,000? There's none of your competitors would even think or dream of doing that because they don't know how to do it. This is sort of underground stuff that only Coca-Cola does. But because I'm a giver and I'm here with my auntie, Mother Teresa, she used to do the same thing, I'm here to give to you. Because there's a lot of love coming this way. There's not a lot coming back at the moment, but that might change throughout the morning. I'll give you another example of this. This is a hideaway resort in Fiji. And I can see people on that tab going, you said you weren't BS. So this one here, they're doing some TV commercials for the Greater Building Society with the Get a Home Loan, Get a Holiday. And the owner of this resort is a guy who lives in Sanctuary Cove, and he happened to be there at the time in Australia, and they own most of the resorts in Fiji. And he said to me at the bar after about a few beers, he said, listen, I've seen all the stuff you've been doing. I looked on your website. We're sitting on 34% occupancy at the moment because we're half an hour up the Coral Coast. Most people are getting off the plane and stopping at Port Denaroo at the Sofitel and all the Hilton hotels. They're not driving up the coast anymore, and we're 20 years old. We're not new anymore. He said, you wouldn't have any of that wow shit on you, would you? Okay, well, I normally carry some with me, I'm not sure, at midnight, you know. And I said, righto, so what's the problem? He said, well, the problem is that we're an older resort and they're getting off at the airport and going to Port Denaroo. And he said, you know, we're just not getting, we're 34%. I said, okay, well, what you need is a wow factor. He goes, yeah. Well, I said, who's your target audience? And he said, well, you know, we thought online would make a big difference, but our target audience still are female travel agents on the east coast of Australia because most of the travel agents are female. And I said, okay, well, let's give them $1 million to get them to book rooms into your resort. He said, how would that work? So this is what we did. We sent out a direct mail piece to all, online and offline, to all of the travel agents, and we said for the next month or two, whatever it was, I forget now, it's a few years ago, for every room you book in the Hideaway Resort, we'll give you a ticket into the $1 million draw. So that means if you went into a travel agent and said, oh, hello, my wife, you know, Gloria here, and myself, we'd like to go to Fiji. Yeah, Hideaway Resort. Oh, well, no, we haven't got into the story yet. We'd like to go, yeah, Hideaway Resort. You don't know what time we're going to get. Doesn't matter. Hideaway Resort. Well, what about when we get off the airport, Port Denaroo's down the road, what about the Sofitel? Rabies. They got rabies all over the Sofitel. Well, what about the Hilton? Ebola. Ebola's broken everywhere. Well, what about any of the other nice hotels around there? Hepatitis C. It's gone nuts. There's people coming back with, they lose arms and legs and all sorts. Well, I guess the Hideaway sounds pretty good there. Absolutely. He went from 34 to 96% occupancy in 3 weeks. He never put another palm tree in, never painted the rooms, didn't put any more swimming pools in. He did nothing, absolutely nothing to the business, except he added a... No, we're going to do that again because just for the poor bastards that are watching this on Facebook Live, because he added a... Wow factor. Oh, wow factor, you're killing me, yeah. Okay, right out. This is pharmacies. We have a lot of pharmacies coming on board now. Why do you think we have a lot of pharmacies coming on board? Because they're up against a 40-tonne gorilla called Chemist Warehouse, okay? So their office works is Chemist Warehouse. They're killing all the little pharmacies. So the pharmacies are looking for people like me. Fortunately, they found me because there is only one of me. And they say, what do we do? I go, well, you're suffering from decaditis because what you're trying to do at the moment is take on Chemist Warehouse on price. You're not going to beat the 40-tonne gorilla on price. That's crazy. That'd be like the little hardware store trying to beat Bunnings with their wheelbarrow price. If their wheelbarrow doesn't light up in the dark, they're not going to beat Bunnings, okay? They will not win on price. And you ain't either, particularly in the online global world that we live in. If you market on price, you can't possibly win unless you are Walmart. So therefore, what we're saying to them is what you should do is for every senior, because that's who they want because of prescriptions, of course, give them a free cup of coffee. Set up a coffee shop in your... We've got one place down in Melbourne that's actually flown up, had a look at the Versace coffee shop because I told him to, and he's created a coffee shop in the front window of his pharmacy. How smart is that? And so therefore, where do you think the little Beryl and Esme are going to go? He doesn't let them do the coffee machine. They'll kill themselves, of course. But so therefore the thing is that they go in, they have their coffee. I'm going to hell anyway, so what then? They have their coffee, or sort of, and they get their tablets, okay? And so therefore, what do you think the next step is? Of course, and that is home delivery. I don't know whether it's on that one. No, it's not. I don't know whether the next slide. No, it doesn't. So we say to them, do home delivery. And so that's what they're doing now too. Does Chemist Warehouse offer home? First of all, if you go to Chemist Warehouse, they treat you like a number, the usual thing, you know, and so therefore you can sit for half an hour waiting for your cheaper prescription. They don't give you coffee or anything else. And there's no way they'll ever do home delivery, unless Uber comes and knocks on their door maybe. But the fact is that now these pharmacies we're talking, I've been to pharmacy conferences, so I'm teaching them all this sort of stuff, and their eyes become the size of saucepans because all of a sudden they realise, oh, this wow factor stuff is taking their eyes off the thing that Chemist Warehouse have got their eyes on, and that's what you have to do for your business. This is an interesting one, Love Crepes, and we probably will kill the lights for this one when we get there. Love Crepes case study. This is a business in Sydney. Sorry, most of my crew are on drugs anyway, so maybe they need to go to Chemist Warehouse. I just mentioned that, DeGold, how are you, mate? How's things? Could you maybe bump the two kids that are playing solitaire next to you? Yeah. Can we kill the lights at all? Sorry to interrupt the game, but so therefore, this is in Pyrmont in Sydney. And so therefore, the people watching on Facebook don't know what I mean, but I've got a crew here of about 100 people, and most of them are smoking dope at the moment. So, so this is in Pyrmont, opposite Channel 10 in Sydney, and that's a crepe shop. Now, I think a crepe shop should look like something in Main Street Disneyland. It should have theatre attached to it. It should be really wow. Look at it. It looks like an accountancy office, for God's sake. And I don't know why they've got the ISIS guy outside, but he's out there enjoying whatever he is, you know. Probably before he blows a few people up. Yeah, so anyway, I said to them, well, okay, that's the outside of the crepe shop, which is wildly underwhelming. Let me have a look at the inside. He goes, oh, wait till you see the inside. I said to him, the inspiration for that menu board, did that come from Central Station? I mean, you've got to be joking. That's what the inside of this wonderful crepe... Now, he'd only been open for like 6 months or so, and it was dying. I said, let me just fix this for you. Before we even do any marketing, let's make sure we do some window dressing. So I quickly sketched up in the meeting, this is my sketch. I said, how about we change that Central Station railway sign, which, I don't know, there's obviously no trains to these areas, you know. How about we change that to look something like that? And in 48 hours, we had turned it into that. Could I get maybe a reaction again? It starts with W? Good, okay, that's good. Thank you for the ego boost. So therefore, that's what happened, and that's what was before, and that's what's after. Do you think he's selling a few more crepes now? Yes. You better believe it. He's Disneyfied, or we've Disneyfied for him the whole business, and that's what the outside looks like now compared to what it used to. The ISIS guy's still there, but that's what it went from to what it is now, and that's the other side of it. Completely different business, and now he's opening. It was heading south, and he just emailed me throughout the week to ask if we can help. He's opening up a new one at Drummoyne actually in about 3 weeks' time. So, and that's his advertising, all kept in the same brand. That's his mobile one that he takes out to the Royal Easter Show. More advertising. That was nice of him. He actually, we put an ad together for him. Obviously, that's his ad. And he sent an email through a couple of weeks ago and said, well, people when they come onto our program become a member of our 24/7 Facebook club, which means that they get access to me at any time by asking a question, and that's part of the bonus that we offer. And so he came through on the 24/7 Facebook club, and he said, JD designed a full-page newspaper and whatever. That went out last night. This morning we've got 10 new customers already in the store saying they visited because they saw that. And have a look at the difference with the local pizza ad next to him. See, that's woe versus wow. It's really simple when you know how. Okay, so I want to show you this one. Anybody familiar with the nightclub strip here on the Gold Coast, which is in Orchard Avenue? That's where all the nightclubs and restaurants are. Michael, this guy's name is, and he owns one called the Avenue. And the Avenue swapped from being one side of the street for 20 odd years to now the other side of the street. Anybody familiar with the Avenue? Yeah, it was sort of grab a granny bar for about 20 years, okay? And he did really, really well out of the flannelette shirts and thongs for 20 odd years. Then he swapped across the road because they were redeveloping where he'd been, and he came across a new audience who were wearing this. And he hadn't been used to marketing to people with teeth. And so therefore, he was sort of, a bit worried. He said, look, it's not doing what it sort of did before. And I said, right, okay, well, let's have a look at it. And so he showed me the menu, and this was the menu, which was largely based on the menu he used to have for the flannelette shirt brigade, right? I said, mate, that's like so 19 whatever, you can't do that. And so therefore that's what it looked like when you open up the menu, just ordinary. So yeah, pretty. You can see here, because they're flipping the pages over all the time, the ink was coming off, so we used a high quality printer, and so we changed it to that. And that is an A3 size of the Gold Coast Bulletin newspaper. There's no way they're going to miss that when they come in and get handed that. His sales just went through the roof straight away. He actually has these beautiful beer tanks here inside the restaurant, and I asked him what the significance of that was, and he said it's the freshest beer there is. And the reason it is the freshest beer, because when it goes through those tanks, it goes through pipes throughout the ceiling. It's all very theatrical. The whole thing inside was fantastic. He's just got a pretty ordinary outside, and I'll show you that in a moment. And so therefore we took the ownership of that. He had told no one about it. We said, well, it's the home of the Copper Tank Fresh Draft Beer, because these copper tanks do give you apparently the freshest beer in Australia. Now, I enjoy beer, but I didn't know any of the storytelling until I met him. So what we did, I said, well, let's have a look at the outside of your place, because the inside of the place looks fantastic, but the outside of the place, I'll show you here, it looks like an accountancy office again, or maybe, worse still, a morgue, okay? Or same thing, really. So the thing is that I said to him, you're missing out. There's 3 doors down, there's a really funky bar called the House of Brews. And the House of Brews has all the brewers from around the world. It's doing really, really well. It gets all the, cool kids at lunchtime going there. And he's missing out on all that. And I said, well, no wonder. Look at the entrance. Just look at the entrance. He said, well, what do? I said, you've got the most busiest tourist trap street in Australia. Take advantage of it. So therefore, we put this together for him. And that's what it's going to look like. Thank you very much for that. Terrific. I didn't even have to encourage that. Wow. So can you imagine these 2 people here, okay, they are working part. See the magnificent difference it's made to them. Okay? You won't, so we didn't quite take, but what happened is that he turns around and goes, wow. Well, no, he went, shit, wow. And we just didn't capture that. So they just kept walking. But you can see what's going to happen there. It's a transformation. And this will cost him virtually nothing, because guess what? Carlton United will pay for it. So it's all about that wow factor in the first impression. And you know how in the old days you'd say to your receptionist, we had a business in Sydney called the Dynamic Ideas business. So, anything I'm going to be involved with is going to have some sort of wow name to it. The Institute of Wow, Dynamic Ideas. And I used to say to Annie, always answer the phone, hello, Dynamic Ideas, can I help you? So it was a Disney-style opening. And I think we all do that, no matter what business we're in. Well, these days, of course, that's important still to do it, but she's the director of second impressions now. The director of first impressions, if you're a bricks and mortar store, is either the outside of your business, it doesn't matter what business you are, or it is, starts with W, or it is your website, okay? And your website has to say, hello, I'm here. What do you want? How can I help you? Another good one here, this is a company that came on board just before Christmas, and they're called the Great Value Holidays. Nice guy, really nice guy, Ash, his name is. And he and his wife run this business, and it's a multi-million-dollar business, but that was the ad they put in the Seniors Tour magazine, okay, because they were after rich seniors. They're not after poor seniors. Not many of us will really make money out of poor people, okay? So try and do the Robin Hood thing, make money out of rich people and then give it to poor people if you want. But do not go chasing the Centrelink people. They're not a good crowd, okay? And so therefore, in his instance, he's after rich people, rich senior people, but he's designed this ad to look like he's chasing Centrelink people, hasn't he? So therefore, he's after David Jones, but he looks like Bilo. And the first rule of advertising is that you need to showcase in your advertising your audience. So if you're after old people, you put old people in the ad. If you're after young funky kids, well, you put young funky kids smoking dope in the ad. That's the way it is, all right? So in this instance, can you see any humans? I think there might be 2 miniature humans over here, but he hasn't put humans in his ad, and he got the wiggles to put the ad together, you know? So therefore, it's doing everything against what he stands for. So we said, give me 48 hours, and we turned it into that, okay? So there you'll see that these people are clearly, yeah, wow, these people are clearly rich. They've got, look, wheels. And, isn't that amazing? We reckon we're smarter than the monkeys, but I don't think we are, not the pop group, the real monkeys. We put Neil Armstrong on the moon in 69. We only put wheels on luggage in 89. What were we smoking for 20 years? Like, how does that happen? We fly into space and put man on the moon. It took us 20 years to put wheels on the luggage we're dragging around. Like, that's crazy. And only 3 years ago, we put red and green lights in the car park at Westfield. What the hell were we thinking about for the last 30 years? So anyway, that's what it looks like, and that's only a half pager. So you can see there his full page versus the impact that we get on a half page. And if we did a full page, you can see the impact is just dramatic. And again, this is message to market match for rich, older people. This is a piece of crap. And, oh, by the way, I wanted to say this to you too. We fixed his website for him too, Jackie Chan. You saw the testimonial I got from him on video where he just went nuts. He just said, look, I didn't think that the seniors would be booking online like they have, because his website was pretty ordinary. So we've changed the website, we sexied it all up, and what did he say, John? Was it double?
Yeah, well, pretty much he's now getting bookings, which he never really, got. He's now getting good bookings now, which is...
But in that video testimonial, I think, because what happened, I had a coffee with him a few weeks ago. If someone says something nice about me, which is rare, I'll shove the iPhone in front of them and say, mate, hurry up, say that again, please. I just want to show it to my wife, if no one else. And it was double, wasn't it? It was double the bookings that he was getting within like 3 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then, look, don't go on about it, but...
Maybe we can pull up, maybe we can find it later on.
Yeah, we will, yeah. No, thanks very much. Go, there's a bowl of rice there, just get into it, okay? So, why do I even... See, I've got nothing to say. I give him the platform to do the big whole show-off thing. Oh, JD, you're great. You've done this double. I think he got an extra sale out of it. I'm not sure. Excuse me. Okay, so before we go to morning tea, which we will be in just a moment, I want to show you one or two others. This is a company that's come up with a fantastic invention, and it's a startup. I'm always scared with startups. You know how you're scared with inventors? Like, you just don't want to sit next to an inventor on an airplane trip. It's just not good, because, then the next invention will be there. Oh, no, please. So therefore, in these rooms sometimes, and I know I'm probably going to lose the inventor who's in here, but you go, what do you do? I'm an inventor. Oh, okay. Oh, I think I've got a call. Hang on. So therefore, this guy's an inventor and a startup, but he's about my vintage, and he's been selling quite a few businesses over time. So he's an inventor with some success. And he's come up with this little keyring thing where if you're in a mining or construction business and the guy behind the big earth-moving tractor has a heart attack or faints, then that tractor can just go around and around out of control and just kill lots of people, right? And this thing is a little like your garage remote opener where from up to a mile away, if something like that happens, you can press it and it will stop the tractor. So he might have slumped over the wheel, but it will stop it from killing everyone else, right? A fantastic invention. And it's also in factories. If a conveyor belt takes off and someone's arm gets caught into it, well, you can just quickly zap it with a garage opener. And it's a great, great invention. And they're only, hundreds of dollars to buy one, and most mining and construction companies will want 20, 30, 50 of them. And that was what he was putting out. It's called Stop It. And he was sending this brochure out to, prospects and not finding it was getting a lot of results. That was the back of it. And you'll see here, he used a little bit of the problem solution thing where here it says an excavator operator suffers a heart attack whilst loading trucks. At this point, the operator lost consciousness, causing him to slump over the slew controls. As a result, the excavator began continuous uncontrolled revolutions, giving the risk to personnel, manual e-stop. Now, the manual e-stop is the button they can press on the tractor. But if he's collapsed, no one's going to be doing that. Could not be accessed. Sadly, on this occasion, the operator passed away, which was awful. And he gives another thing there. That was not getting traction. And the reason it wasn't getting traction is because he hasn't even got a picture of the product. He doesn't even show you what the little garage remote looks like. So we changed it to this and to that. So therefore, you'll see there, Really, really simple. The imagery of that tells you within a heartbeat what the hell this thing is all about. You can see what it is here, and you can see that obviously this guy has either lost his mate or something terrible is happening, and this tells you all the reasons. Now you notice the headlines here: avoid tragedies and protect personal and machinery with our wireless emergency stop technology. You don't even have to read any further, you know what it is. Enjoy peace of mind with this breakthrough technology. If you're going to be selling something that you hope you never use, like life insurance, okay, you're selling 3 words: peace of mind, okay? You cannot sell a fire extinguisher without showing a house burning down, because a fire extinguisher is not exactly a pretty thing to put on the wall. Yeah, look what I've got, you know. So therefore, you're selling something you hope they never use. And if you're selling something you hope they never use, or they hope they never use, you better future cast what might happen and why they might need that, okay? That's called future cast marketing. So you'll see the difference between his front page and my front page, and his back page and my back page. It's all about understanding how to get that wow. Before we go to morning tea, I've got to show you one person who's suffering from severe dickheaditis, and he's become a good friend, so if he was watching this on Facebook, he'd take it the right way. But he's a chiropractor in Marrickville in Sydney, and this is what his office looks like. He paid $60,000 over a period of 4 or 5 months to a branding agency in Sydney who told him that this is what his building should look like. It's a chiropractor. Now, inside that building, he's got 7 or 8 other practitioners of pain relaxer and masseurs and all sorts of, you know, white man's witch doctor stuff. And so it's like a medical centre, but for alternatives, all right? And so therefore I said, how did that come about? What is it? Is there any meaning to any of this? He goes, no, I don't think so. I said, well, how did it come about? He said, well, the branding agency said that we should just be funky. And, you know, because the whole alternative medicine thing is going to be more Gen X, Gen Y, we'll be funky. I went, mate, you're on drugs. And he said also at Marrickville, there's a high incidence of graffiti. So we thought we'd put this on the wall to stop the graffiti. I said, but what is that? He said, graffiti. I said, you're not making any sense. He goes, no, I'm not, am I? He said, we spent $60,000 on this crap, and he said, our business has gone to rack and ruin. Because guess what? The agency that he got onto told him that he should change his business from being called Three Ways Chiropractic to just 3 ways, Chiro. Well, that makes sense. No. And then I said, well, why the 3 ways? Is there 3 ways you can whack and crack people's backs or something? Because I'm thinking there must be some logic in that. No, because they're on a 3-way road system. There's the traffic lights that come in. Yeah. So therefore, dickheaditis moving into moronitis. That was one side of his building. That was the other side. I said, whoa, getting close to normality. Again, looks like an accountancy practice, but yeah. I said, mate, this is nuts. So anyway, the inside of the business looks normal. That's the inside of it. But of course, you go on the outside and you end up with crap. I wanted to show you this one before we go. I had a turf farm here on the Gold Coast up in the Tamborine Mountains area. And he came on board a few years ago. This is a few years old. And he said to me, listen, we're finding it hard to get rid of turf at the moment because just my luck at the time, he said, I go and buy this turf farm. I've come down from Cairns. And he said, the building boom has stopped. And so therefore he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, oh, okay, righto. And he said, my target audience is landscapers. And I said, okay, righto. And he said, but the trouble is with landscapers, they're price sensitive because grass is grass, for God's sake. You can get Sir turf from anywhere. And he said, when they'd ring up, I'd say $5 a square metre. They go, oh, we get it from the turf farm down the road for $4.20. And then you can turn the lights back on, girls. Just have a look around there. One of them is even listening to what I'm doing. I don't think they give a shit, to be honest with you. Yeah. So even when I bag them out, they don't give a shit. It's hard to get good staff, Alan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I often say to Gail or Jackie, so anytime, maybe if you can just check in maybe every hour even, just to see what I'm doing. So anyway, the thing is that he said that the landscapers were the worst client in the world in the sense that yes, they buy bulk, like 4 at a time, 4 homes at a time, as opposed to waiting for someone like us that, I think we need some front yard grass. But they were price sensitive, so they'd say, well, we can get it down the road for $4.50. So he said, I go $4.40, and then the landscaper down the road or turf farm would go $4.30, and we know what the end of that story is. I said, well, you've got to stop, you've got to take their eye off the price. Now, he'd seen a lot of my TV commercials for the Greater, get a home loan, get a holiday, and he said, oh, so that sort of thing. I said, yeah. And he said, well, how would we do it with landscapers? I said, mate, they like beer, and they're normally drinking 4X or 2Es. Let's give them the Versace beer, the Crown Lager. And we'll say that for every 500 square metres worth of turf, which is a normal front yard, backyard, we'll give you a carton of Crown Lager. Guaranteed it'll take their eyes off the price. He goes, righto, we'll give it a burl. And so that's what we did. We sent out this particular style of brochure. It went out email as well, but landscapers, I've got to tell you, even now, this was a few years ago, but even now it'd still be snail mail, okay? And on the back of the brochure, give me a second, I'll just bring it back. Here we go. Back of the brochure had much the same thing. He rings up 8 days into the promotion. Now, when I visited him, which I don't do these days, but in those days I did, I drove up the mountain and visited him. I said, how much grass have you got? He said, can you see the mountain range there and the mountain range there? Like, it went on for miles. He said, we've got 6 miles worth of grass. And I've got to get rid of it before spring or whatever it was, because I can't replant if I don't. You've got to turn it over, that's what it is. I said, right, okay. So we got a mail list of 500 landscapers throughout Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and he only sent out half of them. He only sent out 250 of these. 8 days into it, the phone rings. He goes, we're in deep shed. I said, what? He said, we've got no more grass. We don't have any grass left. I said, what? He said, I've only sent out 250 of them. We've got no more grass left. And I said, wow, can you bring him up if you don't mind, Pat? And just go to instituteofwow.com and go to case studies. He's probably number one. Or maybe Coolabah, maybe. Yeah. So anyway, I said to him, what do you mean? He said, well, we've sent out 250 and we've got no more grass left. He said, I'm sourcing turf from other turf farms to keep up with the demand for the beer. And he said, the biggest pain in the arse that I had was a guy from wherever, Beanley or something, and he said he used to ring up and with the biggest price discount. I can do better $4.50, I can get it for $4.40. He said he rang up yesterday and said, I want 18 homes worth of grass for Sanctuary Cove and a few other places. I don't care when the grass gets here, I want the beer by Friday because we've got a party. Because he was getting 18 cartons of beer. So just as McDonald's have proven that the toy took over the hamburger, in this instance the beer took over the grass. And I've had people that have come from this environment who either have joined up with us or not, and they've actually come back to me at times and said, look, we just used the same thing for our butcher shop. We just said to Esme that for every $50 you spend in our butcher shop, we'll give you a point, and when you save up 5 points, which means they've spent 5 times $50, we'll give you 2 lovely bottles of Chardonnay. And the 2 bottles of Chardonnay from Dan Murphy's has cost them $30. $30 on the $250 is what, 11%, 12% discount. See, what you want to do, if I said to everyone in the room here today, would you be willing to give up 10% of your sale price to double your business? Who'd put their hand up? I would. Well, that's all you do. So if you're a hairdressing salon, instead of putting a sign outside your door that says 10% off, which will attract no one in the age of Groupon, they're 50%. So instead of doing that, just in your mind, go 10%, 10%, okay, I'm willing to give up 10%, good. Well, if you're a hairdressing salon, for every $50, you give them a movie point, a Hoyts Cinema movie point. And then for every time they collect 6 movie points, and I'm saying hairdressers, it could be any business, 6 movie points means they've spent 6 times $50, that's $300. 2 movie tickets will cost you 15 each, multiplied by 2, that's $30. $30 as a percentage of the 300 is 10%. And do you think when Esme has 3 points and she only needs 6 for 2 movie tickets, that she'll be going to another hairdresser? No. So it's called loyalty reward programs, and the only people that really do that is the frequent flyer people. And when you do a loyalty reward program, do not do what Sushi Train does and gives you a discount back on your next purchase. Cadbury do that where they put 20% extra on the Crunchy Bar. Thank you, we're fat enough as it is. Do not put any more on the damn Crunchy Bar. Just tell me to collect 20 Crunchy Bar wrappers and I'll get a free movie ticket, then you got me. So I'm a member of ADMA, the Australian Direct Marketing Association, and when they have their Gold Logie Awards every year for these sales promotions that do the best sales, not the most creative, the ones that do the best sales, surprise, surprise, the ones that always win are the ones whereby the bonus has got nothing at all to do with the product. Okay, because if you just give the product back, then it's just another price discount, okay? You don't want to get back into that. Get a home loan, get a free holiday. It was not get a home loan, get a honeymoon rate, because that just brought them back into looking at the price. So what you want to do, no matter what your business or service is that if you're going to have a reward loyalty scheme, don't give them a bonus that links back to more of your product. Give them a bonus that has nothing at all to do with your product, but has a lot to do with the target audience. And movie tickets are good because 18 to 88, they'll still want them. Fuel discounts are good because they're 18 to 88. This is the guy who owns the turf farm. I'll let him just say what he said to me.
Sell on price, you're always going to be, at the mercy of the guy down the street who wants to sell cheaper than you. So this was a value add type promotion, and it gave us that wow factor. So it's very simple, very effective. Well, I guess it certainly did instantly improve our sales for our turf at that point in time. The numbers were fantastic, really. We ended up ceasing the promotion for the other 250, which we didn't identify because we really ran out of turf. We were sourcing turf from other farms.
Okay, so we won't go on, but yeah, so that's him. That's not me making up that story. He was sourcing turf from other farms. How would you like to be sourcing your product from another supplier to keep up with the demand? Right? Okay, so we're going to break for a morning tea to give my throat a rest. And who thinks that even so far you've learnt a bunch of good ideas? Okay, thank you. I told you when you came in this would be pretty different from I got to tell you this story. Gail screwed up. By the way, I introduced you to Gail. Gail, could you say hello to everybody? Oh no, she's still in Disney World. Better. I said to her, look, I want to go to this seminar on Tuesday night. What's today? Thursday. Tuesday night. Book us in for that. And I sent the link to her. And it was a guy doing online marketing, like who isn't these days, you know, make money while you sleep, all this crap. And I just wanted to go because I'd heard this guy before, a young Australian guy, and I just thought, I'll go along and just see if he's the typical wanker seminar thing. And so anyway, we go along on Tuesday night, rush to get out of the bloody house and everything. We get there 6:10 for the 6 o'clock start for 8 o'clock. And I'm only there for reconnaissance to see what this guy dickhead's going to do. And run to the back of the room and all that rubbish. And I'm sitting down. The guy's about my vintage. He's not the young fellow that I thought was going to be there. And he's talking all about financial freedom and superannuation schemes, this, that, and the other. And I said to go, we're at the wrong seminar. it was a movie script. And she taps away at a little phone and goes, I thought this was the one you wanted to come. No, why would I want to? So we have to do the thing which every seminar speaker hates, of course, is that you're only in there for 10 minutes, but then you start to back out again. And in a room, it was one of those rooms where it was theatre seating, so it was all crunched up to the start with a big room like this, sort of where if you left, you got noticed sort of thing. And so I had to do the one, you know how like you do that thing when I pretend you got a phone call, but you don't, but you make it on silent because if it rings, you're in deep shit. And I'm walking out like that, and Gail said, well, when am I going to leave? You make up your own mind, I'm getting out of here. But for the 10 minutes that I was there, and I had to say, I was just grief. It was this guy, he was a Yank, he was American, and he goes, and the thing that I hate about these seminar people, he goes, I'm not he's showing the Maseratis and the Miss World girlfriends because they've all got them, and the castles that they live in London, or it's all BS, you know. And then they show you the lifestyle that they're living around the world, and they're laptop millionaires and all this crap. So all these slides are coming up, I'm like, oh please. And the thing that really pisses me off with these guys is, I'm not telling you this to impress you, but to impress upon you. And if I hear that again, I'm going to stab you through the eye, you know, with a pencil. Who's been to those, by the way? Yeah. It's just so therefore, I left and go. I don't know. Did you just get up and yeah?
I just said the kids were sick.
The kids were sick, of course. Yes, that's right. Yeah, kids were sick. I'm sick. You don't give a shit about me. Yeah. Okay, so just for the guys on Facebook Live, what we're going to do, guys, we're going to break for 15 minutes for morning tea. Okay, so the time now is 20 to 11. So we're going to come back at around about 5 to 11. If you want to jump back on again, you can. We were going to extend this through to lunchtime for Facebook Live if you want. If you don't, then that's fine. Sorry? Jodie wanted to say something? Good, okay, well that's new.
Thanks. Coffee, guys, is important. Downstairs there is a little coffee area. It is going to get banked up in a bit of a line. There's also Zaraka's, which is head towards Main Beach, just about 100 metre, 200 metre walk down the street. Okay, any other maybe tourist attractions, Dreamworld or anything like that we could squeeze in there? So, okay, thank you very much. So, Jodie, I don't know whether I should point this out, but Jodie has been with us now for a couple of years and she loves every minute of being with us, don't you, Jodie? Yeah. Jodie, would you like to say anything about the boss and how good he is to work for? Do you want me to tell the truth?
No, okay, well thank you, Jodie, anyway, thank you very much, and just sit down with the Asian persuasion, and yeah. So guys, we'll come back at about 5 to 11. And what we'll do is go further through this Wheel of Wow thing. How the day works, just so that you understand this, is that right up till lunchtime, I give you all of the nuts and bolts of this client attraction system, which I call the Wheel of Wow, okay? And then at lunchtime, if you want to stick around and learn how you can get me to become your marketing manager, well, that's fine. And if you don't, then that's fine too. And then in the afternoon, what we do is that we take volunteers, and you have to be brave because we sit you up here in a hot seat, and then I bring up your website and bag the crap out of it. And you get pretty depressed, but I'm sort of skilled at that. So what we'll do is ask who might like to volunteer for that. You get a lot of value out of that, even if you don't end up joining our environment, I can guarantee you. But it's a bit of fun. It's all tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, most people, and I can assure you because I've looked at your websites, need help with their website because that is the director of first impression. So we do that after lunch, and we do some case studies after lunch. I think you'll find the after lunch thing is pretty powerful too. But we finish the part of giving you the actual recipe up till 1 o'clock. So what we'll do for anyone watching on Facebook Live, if you want to take a 15-minute break and come back, that's great. And we'll see you back in here in 15 minutes. Okay. Mandatory standing ovation, by the way, too. Thank you very much.